And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the latest episode of the Sling'N Podcast. I'm TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And joining us tonight is a very special guest, somebody you might actually recognize, Matt Landfair, host of the Primary and Secondary Podcast. Matt, welcome, brother.
Why, thank you. It's nice to be on this side of a podcast for a change. Let me just tell you.
Yeah, just no stress whatsoever. So
exactly,
Matt, for the dozens watching and those listening on their favorite podcast streamer, why don't you do us the honor and explain to the folks that might not know exactly who the hell you are?
Okay, so Matt Landfair, that's about it.
That's helpful.
So, yeah. All right. That was easy. I like it.
So let's see here. Cop since last century. Started in corrections. Been doing patrol since. Found quickly. So I'm in northern Utah. Found quickly Utah is a black hole for training, and I found a lot of my coworkers didn't really pursue training beyond what was given, beyond that minimum standard. So I went out and sought out some really good sources of information. In doing so, I found some really good instructors who then I went and attended their classes and kind of really changed my whole mindset on a lot of things. And I wanted to share some of these concepts that I learned with coworkers. And I was still am a bit of a pariah. I'm trying to present some of these really cool ideas, like stuff that I learned from Pat Rogers after going through his classes X amount of times, going through Darcy X amount of times, and having all these wonderful concepts. Just, yeah, whatever, Matt. Yeah, we don't care. We have this minimum standard. We're happy with that. So I figured there are other cops in the same type of situation. So why don't I figure out a way to put something together where we all can kind of share notes? And I found on Facebook, because forums were on the way out. My favorite forum at the time was Life Fighter, and that's actually where I met a lot of my gun industry friends. Forums were on the way out. A lot of my friends were leaving some of these really cool forums, and everyone was migrating to Facebook. And going on Facebook groups, what I quickly found was everyone wanted to focus on things that weren't as serious as I wanted them to be, or as serious as I needed them to be even. So I figured, well, hell, I'll just start my own thing. And I invited all my gun industry friends and started a little group of them to help me moderate what was going on and the content we were doing. And we pretty much established we really want to know the why behind what's going on. And that's kind of morphed since. It's expanded further. But from there, a bunch of us were we'd be up all night on these Facebook chats with people like Chuck Pressburg, Bill Blower, Scott Jedlinski, wonderful, wonderful people. And these guys would be giving these absolute awesome paragraphs, pages, books worth of information in these Facebook chats. And one of my buddies said, why don't we just do a podcast? Why don't we do like a Google Meet type thing? So I thought, okay, let's do that. So I want to say it was in 2016. We just started a Google room and just invited people that were in the groups, and that morphed into the podcast that we have now. But the format back then was it's all of us, all the moderators, the primary and secondary moderators. That's why it's Primary and Secondary Podcast. The moderators got together. People would be getting drunk. They'd be falling asleep. They'd be going for hours and hours and hours talking about who knows what. There was no focus. And so we were doing these, I want to say for the first 30 days, we were doing these every night. And so anywhere from 2 hours to 8 hours, just so much fun hanging out with these wonderful people. And this is before all the guys kind of jumped and became really successful with their own projects. Like Pressburg wasn't really doing press check consulting yet. Jedi wasn't yet. He already had Modern Samurai, but I don't think he was in full swing yet. Blowers always had Tap Rack, but it didn't really, he was kind of having it on the side because he was a full-time cop. So we would have these podcasts and just talk about whatever. And then slowly some more structure came in, and it's been an absolute blast getting all these really, really cool people from different ends of the spectrum in the gun industry to come and talk about stuff and to share insights. And when I really look back on all the content that we've been doing, it's really been, when we went much more structured, I really think it's been my own personal journey, because a lot of the topics that we wind up talking about were things that I kind of was interested in knowing more about. Some of my best favorite podcasts are the ones that I get to sit back and just listen and absorb. And if I have questions, I get to ask. Revolvers have been, for me, absolutely fascinating to understand. Okay, how do these fit? Why do these fit in what we do? Recently, we've been doing survival episodes. We talked about knives. As a matter of fact, the knife episode comes out this Friday. Something I'm not very well versed in. I own a lot of knives, but these kinds of topics have really been awesome to really delve into, get some industry pros, some subject matter experts to talk about this really, really cool stuff. And it turns out the stuff I kind of have interest in, other people happen to be interested in too. So it works out really well. And it's an absolute blast putting this stuff together. Last night had a panel talking about issues in law enforcement, comparing how cops used to be to how we are now. Why is that? And so it wasn't so much eye-opening, but I'm hoping what it's doing is it's helping people understand better what's going on, why it's happening, and how potentially we can change it. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Let's see here. Married for 20-something years, 2 kids. I'm in a basement right now, and it's really cold, and that's why I have a flannel on.
I, too, am in a basement.
And it's 90 degrees outside.
We're like brothers, man.
That's right.
Everybody's in the basement.
Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, all 3 of us are legit in a basement right now. So, okay.
Loser basement dwellers.
Although looking at Matt's wall, I'm expecting a graboid from Tremors to burst through the opposite wall.
Yes.
So that he can go row by row.
Yes.
Are you married to Reba McEntire?
In fact, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this show
she sings us all tonight, or all to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, this show could only get better. Outstanding, Matt. Thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate you having taking the time to join us.
My pleasure.
But Kent, how have you been, man? What's going on with you? What you got going on? What's new? What's happening? What's on your schedule?
Well, I teach the people to do the things with the metal things and the other things, and we point things, and then we press a thing, and then the thing happens. That's what was happening tonight. My private lesson student showed up with a well-sourced med kit from Dark Angel Medical and asked me how to stage it. And the angels friggin' descended upon the range, and instead of doing range things, we went right back out into the classroom and went, yay! It's been 6 engagements, and you finally listened to me. So guess what tonight's about? So, pre-staging cat tourniquets, run out the truck, grab blue tourniquet, hey, throw this on me, let's do this shit. So it's nice when people listen to you. That felt really good. Still teaching the college thing, still doing this terrible corporate day job thing. But this weekend, we've got a nice little sold-out class of defensive pistol metrics, and I hear some redneck from Tennessee in a basement is going to come out of retirement because the gun industry pissed him off so bad that he's going to come AI for me. Would you know anything about that, Mr. Ramsey?
I might have seen him up close once or twice.
Bro, the fact that I can get you off the schneid and get your ass back on the range to teach is my favorite thing of the last 3 months. Easy. I'm thrilled. This is going to be good shit, dude. So that's my happiness in a nutshell. And most importantly, little Mr. Howard is almost 3 years old, and we are wrestling like to no end. Landfair, you like wrestling that little one yet? Is it wrestle time? Not quite.
He doesn't really. Sometimes he will. Sometimes he'll try to pile drive, but I am slightly larger than he is. For the most part, I think the closest thing to that right now is him throwing food at me.
And you're just like Pac-Manning that shit, like.
Oh no! I hand it back to him, and then he throws it again.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, so now it's a game with the chicken nuggies.
It is, and they are chicken nuggets, exactly.
Yeah. Well, the aerodynamics of a chicken nugget are such that, like.
Oh, it's something. It is astrophysics that only a father can truly appreciate.
And it's better than pudding.
Way better than
to
pudding.
Throw and clean up.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. I've been reprioritizing continually and trying to do more dad things and less everything else. As you all know, right? Like all 3 of us are dads on here, so
yep.
More dad stuff, less everything else. So that's been going pretty good too. So, do you remember like how to beat the button on a timer Do you remember which way to point the gun? Come on, TJ. Like, how's this weekend going to go?
Oh, it's probably going to be a miserable failure, but we'll see what happens.
You'll be fine. You'll be absolutely
Oh, no, it's going to be a good time, man. Looking forward to it. Look, going to drive up Friday, do the training thing Saturday, Sunday, and you guys get to watch me yell into my computer all day Monday before I leave on Tuesday.
That'll be fantastic.
So, yeah.
I want you to rehearse your absolute best range echo shattering stop yell. Just that like the stop that echoes, stop. Just that I want you to rehearse that just in case.
Oh, that already halts time.
And then the whole rest of your job is simply delivering water bottles to tired people.
And stapling the staples. Dude,
staples.
Hey, you're spoiling, right? You got the electric staple gun. I've still got the one that goes ka-chunk.
Man,
so
2022, it's a new day. So Matt, I'll share this with you.
Electric staple guns?
Oh hell yeah!
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I've got my 80 pound. It's kind of like your grandma's rotary phone. Yeah. Weighs like 800 pounds. I've got that in my toolbox, ready to get loaded into my truck and staged, ready to leave. And like we were, my family and I, we were just up there doing some off-roading and camping with Kent and his family. And we took some time. We went to the range when we got in, and he's like, "Here, let's staple these up." And he pulls out like these electric staple guns. And I'm like, "What in the fuck is this?"
I have the USB rechargeable AA.
Yeah. No, they're like
they're rechargeable.
There's Bluetooth. You can play music on it as you.
Yeah, close. They're pretty legit though. I mean, they're like the staccato of staple guns. I'm gonna put a red dot on one. Put a light, like it's
right.
Anything.
It's almost like the first time you see that the paster gun, where someone modified the old pricing gun from Kmart. Like, we just get some bigger stickers in here. We can paste targets all day long.
I don't know though. I read that on that. I think the offset wouldn't be very good. Maybe a laser, a visible laser, green though, and then also have IR when you're doing it at night for night vision.
I mean, just mount a 6 to 24 power on that bitch and call it good. I mean, it's a contact shot, but whatever. Let's see. There you go.
So let's see. I think, first of all, I think we should acknowledge the fact that we have the Joe Rogan of gun podcasting on our show, right?
I'd take that as a huge compliment, but I don't know if that's necessarily me.
Right. Well, I was going to say, and also Matt's here. But no, dude. So we got the Rogan. So before we get into the serious, Matt, aliens, yes or no?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right?
I don't know, because it could go either way so easily. Not that their existence would go away with information, but I don't know. It would be awesome if it were true.
I mean, you're out there in Utah, you're in the cruiser all by yourself. The Mormons turn off the candles at like 9:00.
Exactly. Huge.
You tell me this never happened?
Oh, it's every night, especially Sunday nights.
Right. I mean, you're doing the popo thing. You ain't gotten a call to a random cow that was mysteriously turned inside out.
Not yet.
Yes.
Maybe next week. Maybe this weekend.
Yes. There's always hope.
Actually, I was going to bring up hail bays on fire, but that's been about 10 years. We haven't had those for a while.
Bays of hail on fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Crop circles, nothing like that.
No.
All right. So
that's kind of weird. I would think, though, I can't think of any reports of that over the last 20 years. With so many bored kids out here, or aliens.
Okay. Which leads me to the next most logical conclusion, which is you're hiding all sorts of shit. And
Probably.
You actually know.
I cannot confirm nor deny.
See, this is the problem.
Maybe he got the little flashy thing from the Men in Black that just erased his memory.
Yes. Well, part of my policy is I have to do that nightly.
Uh-huh. All right. So I see
yeah.
A rep from Staccato shows up and goes, boop, no more TARs.
That's right.
And Matt shows up next day and
okay.
Back to the TARs. So let's see. So we got the aliens thing out. Psychedelics, like, do you believe in the monkeys and the mushrooms and all that?
I would need more information to be able to give a good answer.
Okay.
Yeah, so even I'm missing context on this. When did we get monkeys?
This is a deep cut Joe Rogan reference. Rogan Rogan discusses the fact that we're all just monkeys who ate the right mushrooms.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, okay. I have heard that one. Yeah.
Right? So that's
Or that we're in the Matrix.
Have you ever seen your neighbor bring in groceries? I'm just saying.
Yes, I've seen my neighbor bring in numerous bags.
Yeah, I don't really pay attention to him, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Usually, I'm hiding in a basement.
Yeah, you say
At least
what
that's
you
what my
want.
wife tells me.
You say what you want. Reality is a simulation.
Yeah, I think he could be. So, what does it feel like to be on the other end of this podcast microphone?
Oh, it's so nice.
Isn't it?
It is so nice because I don't need to think of, okay, where are we going next? What's the next question? Are people falling asleep who are on the panel? You guys get to worry about that.
We don't worry about any of that. Kent did not properly read you into the situation. We don't prepare for a damn thing.
That's awesome. So that's what we used to do, and they were so much fun, and there were so many wonderful gems. They were they were diamonds in the rough.
So here a couple months ago when you were re-releasing the old shows,
yeah,
holy crap! Like I know I caught those back in the day, but I had forgotten so many of them.
So with that in mind, I figured out this was a lot of information that kind of disappeared, because what I did back then for the first year that we did the podcast, every day had a new clip. And so every episode was broken up into 5, 10 minute to 30-minute segments. And every day would have a new segment. And I did not release them whole. That was so much damn work. I'm so glad I just released them whole now. And I went back and realized, oh, wait a minute. We don't have the whole conversations available. So what I wound up doing was I went through them, determined, okay, this is good. I can release this whole, no problem. Then I realized there was some content that wasn't supposed to be released. Then that made things so much more difficult, because then I had to actually listen to the 12 hours of the single episode to make sure, okay, is this acceptable? Because before, when I had to edit them, episode 7, for example, episode 7 is one of my favorites because it was broken up into a bunch of little topics. It was Blowers, it was Shockey, it was Fisher, it was Pressburg. I don't remember who else was on there, but a couple people referred to Pressburg as Chuck, and this is when he was Roland, and I could not have that broadcast. So I had to go through with a fine-tooth comb and make sure, okay, we don't have little things like that in there. There were also some other sensitive topics that were brought up during these that never made any final cuts because it was edited before. So that just means if I want to release more of these, I need to listen to them in their entirety and make sure that they're edited. And I don't have the time for it. It sucks.
Yeah, you're sitting on a gold mine that you can't
Yeah. Now all the individual little segments are still on YouTube. As a matter of fact, last I checked, actually I take that back. A lot of them aren't. When Chuck had his ND, I took down all of the podcasts just because I didn't know what he was going to be up against, and I didn't want to supply any ammunition against the guy. And so, yeah, there are a lot of unlisted episodes that aren't public that I need to go through and republicize.
So to speak on Mr. Pressburg, if you have the opportunity to take his class, which you should, I just hosted it. He does something that many trainers won't do, which is he talks about his personal life and his demons, and he explains how those things changed for him.
Yeah.
So those of you who want to judge a guy about having an ND, I don't know, man. Have the opportunity, have a conversation. Because it's funny you brought that up, because hosting him, I had somebody throw me a message and be like, "Are you sure you want to have this guy?" I think we'll be all right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the people that say things like that have never met him and never spent any time with him. Right. And they see a persona, or they might see a video. He's one of the best people I know. He is an absolute phenomenal human being he strives to help everyone he's in contact with. Mm-hmm. So a couple days ago when we spoke on the phone, and you talked about how everyone left, no matter their skill level, they all left with something good, even if they weren't prepared for the class the way they were supposed to be. Yep. The guy is an absolute class act. And he doesn't pay me to say that. We've spent so much time together on this kind of a format, spending time with him at the training summits, spending time with him at other events. He's an absolute class act. He is an industry leader, and he owns his mistakes. That being said, prior to all of that happening, I don't know if people consider what he was going through, what his position was in the military, and what he was doing, and what that does to someone's psyche.
No, it's easy not to consider those things. But all I have to say on it is this, right? First of all, he'll be back here for hosting. Second of all, when I host people, I literally host people. I invite them into my home.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing that twice. So that's all I can say about somebody. If I bring you around my kid and my wife, like, we're good.
Yeah.
So folks should really, it kind of irks me when folks have that like knee jerk, I think I know about this person. I'm like, well, really? Because here's my thing. Several other people who I really highly trust and who are also the same people who are invited in and are allowed around my family and all that. Like if I trust you and you and you and you and you and you all tell me, hey, this dude's legit, do it. Either you have trust in your friends or like some internet article.
Yeah. Well, and that kind of goes into a topic I suspect we're going to talk about, and it's finding good sources of information.
Absolutely it is.
If you have trusted sources all pointing in a specific direction, that source probably deserves a little attention.
Oh, Mr. Hayes. Nice of you to hop on over to the keyboard, Cameron. Yeah, that's right. Hey, so Cam with both legs and his arm still intact, got to sit at the hang out and sit at the table outside, and Cam and Chuck talked about all kinds of military geek shit for like 3 hours. While I tried to convince his girlfriend that she was making a terrible life choice and she should run in the other direction. Mr. Hayes, how are you, buddy? Good to see you up and moving. We love you. We're still selling your t-shirts.
Absolutely.
I just get all smiley when I see my man still like rocking and rolling and typing. That's cool shit. So since we kind of segued into it, why don't we segue into it? So first of all, Matt, are you a subject matter expert in anything?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I what I'm a subject matter expert is my experience, what I've done, what I've learned, and I can speak to things from a firsthand perspective from that, like that. Let's see here. I also happen to be an avid video gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
So let me, I guess, do you consider yourself to be a trusted source of information on the topics?
I really would like to be. I would like to consider that, but I've noticed I've had to change the way I approach things, where I need to have almost an asterisk at the end of things I say and say how things apply. Okay, we're going to talk about 22s here. This might not apply to you. Take this as information, not the gospel.
Yeah. So I'll tell you.
Sum it up. Perspective.
It is complete perspective. And part of that perspective and part of understanding that perspective is one of my favorite concepts, one of my favorite words, nuance. And the world is not black and white. It's not 1-0. It's not yes, no. Everyone has completely different missions. They dress differently. They work differently. They do different things. Physically, they are different. My hand size is different than other people. My height, my weight, all that completely different. So what I've found to work for me, and this is not me saying, yeah, it works for me, but after study, after actual application, after applying this stuff, I've determined, well, you know what? Rolling Special, there it is. Rolling Special, I think, is such a cool concept, and that's why I wanted to see it for myself, and that's why it got attention. I don't carry it, though. My off-duty carry typically is a Staccato C2, compact Walther PDP. A lot of times it is an LCR. And the things that determine that are, okay, what's my mission? Where am I going? How am I getting there? How long am I away from my supply or my home? And then with all of that, weighing, okay, what are the odds of me actually getting into an altercation?
Very, very solid. So can you name someone for me that you, and I'm on a track here. I'm trying to prove
Pressburg.
kind of. All right. So Pressburg is a subject matter expert in what?
Man. Okay. So to give him a plug also with his Patreon, when Chuck talks about stuff that he is passionate about, that dude knows it backwards and forwards. I don't know anything about radios other than I carry one on duty. I can turn off a Bluetooth. I can turn off Zoom, or not Zoom. I can turn off Scan, and I can change the channel and the volume. That's about it. One of Chuck's earlier videos on his Patreon channel was him talking about the setup on his radio. Absolutely fascinating. And just that show, it's just an example of this guy knows so much stuff. Now, is it applicable to everything I do is it part of my daily life? No. But is it fascinating? Hell yeah. Anything night vision, man, that dude, mindset. Hell, if you want to hear about PTSD and real life, this is what he's been through. Man, that guy is a wealth of knowledge. I could almost put him on any of my episodes, and he will have something pertinent, something very valuable to add to the conversation. Jedi, red dots, absolutely. Blowers, police stuff, pistolcraft. Older eyes adjusting to irons and just having to use red dots. I use him as an example all the time. Yeah, there are so many wonderful people that I consider subject matter experts that I go to for answers. And so what I've done, though, is when I have these questions, when I get these answers from these guys, I apply them, I use them, and determine, holy crap, this is absolutely right on the money. Then I feel comfortable. You know what? I feel that I can share this from my perspective. This isn't me saying, hey, I'm rappelling out of helicopters doing night assaults. No, I don't do that. I can't comment on that.
So, aside of the obvious resume, which is not always so obvious, by the way.
Yeah.
To those of us in this circle, these names carry huge weight, right? To the third-party external observer, many of my students who are watching this podcast, they're basically taking my word for it, right?
Yeah.
If I tell you, hey, Mr. Pressburg can talk through the application of deadly force with a pistol because he's done it before, you either say, okay, Kent, because I trust you, I therefore extend my trust to this individual and will listen to what he has to say.
Mm-hmm.
Or you attempt to run what he's putting out through your own, for lack of a better term, a bullshit filter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you tune the bullshit filter?
Yeah.
Right. So if I don't know who this guy is, this dude's a person with a name on the internet, and I go to his website, and of course, this is a clue detector for you. If somebody's offering training and they don't have a bio on their training website, you should probably hesitate for a half a second and then go Google something else. But beyond that, of course, everybody's going to tell you all the best highlights of their career and a CV and a resume and a bio. Of course they would. What are some commonalities in all the subject matter experts you know? Yeah.
Excellent question. So I'm going to pick on my friend who I respect very much, who just commented in the YouTube chat, Lee Weems. Lee Weems might not be a household name. Lee Weems is someone who is highly regarded and highly respected within my immediate circle. If we need to talk law enforcement, if we need to talk policy, if we need to talk case law, this is one of those guys. I want him to be on my podcast to give his 2 cents. Lee also happens to be, he is like, there are a couple people that are lever gun gurus. He's one of them. So for me to figure out who Lee was, what he was about, and he was someone I needed to listen to, I have a circle of friends who they're not it's not the most common level of experience, but I have the circle of friends that I can trust. And I can bring up to these guys and I can say, tell me about Lee. What do you know about him? What's his background? What's he teaching? What's his specialty? What's his experience with the specialty? And so because of this circle of friends that I have that I absolutely trust, that's helped me that introduced me to Lee to a point where I want him on my podcasts. Yeah, this guy's solid. Prior to that, what I was using was forums and social media, reading articles, reading posts, watching videos, comparing all the content to stuff that I actually know, and trying to figure out, okay, how accurate is this to what I've experienced? And then also, okay, how popular is this with the people that I respect? What are the associations with these people? Who is Pressburg associating with? Who is Weems associating with? And those guys, if we had a Venn diagram, they do intersect at some points, multiple points. That Venn diagram of people is very helpful. But ultimately, it's comparing multiple sources to what I've experienced, seeing who they're associated with, bouncing them off of people that I know, and figuring out. So Pat Rogers was one of my heroes, and I got to host him a bunch of times, and he influenced a lot of the way of how I do things now. I read his after action reports all the time on Light Fighter. And just the after action reports gave me ideas on, okay, this is how I should set up my gear. And after a year, 2 years, 3 years of reading these after action reports, this guy is solid. There's no change in the content. There's no change in, now the individual content's different, but the quality of content is the same. The people that are interacting with him are people that I respect, that have very pertinent information. So from these after action reports, they're basically saying, okay, this is how the class went. Gave me the clue, okay, Pat is someone I need to train with. Same with Darcy, Rich Mason over at Darcy. So many of my friends, so many people have Darcy way up here, and it should be. Watching their videos, reading firsthand accounts, after action reports, then pinging friends of mine and saying, okay, what do you know about this? Have you been there? And then finally going there and going, holy crap, this is better than anything I could have anticipated. More grueling, but way more worthwhile and amazing.
Darcy is the Direct Action Resource Center for those.
Yes. So for the law enforcement side, they have a counterterrorism school, and I've been through as a student, I think 4 times, and I think 5 or 6, maybe 7 times I've been there as a assistant instructor. I think I've clocked over 1,000 hours over there. But they have a citizen or a non-law enforcement military course it's called Tusk. And I don't remember what it stands for. Do you know what it stands for?
No, I know what you're referring. The one, like backpacks and chem lights.
Yeah. So basically, either society has collapsed, or you are stuck, and you need to go from point A to point B and survive and get to a location. Some survivalness kind of stuff. Really good stuff. But also they also have a bunch of military programs as well. But man, I can't say enough about Darcy.
Yeah. So what are some red flags or clue detectors? Somebody's putting themselves out there as a subject matter expert or as a source of quality information on XYZ topic. But you see them do this or that, and that gives you pause. What are some of those things, Matt?
So history. If they appear out of nowhere and all of a sudden, wow, they have all the answers, all the secrets of the universe, how did they get to that point?
Okay.
Again, using my personal network, and that's been such an amazing resource. Pinging my buddies who happen to be specialized in that subject. So, night vision. So let's say this new source of night vision info comes up on Facebook. I'm going to ping Pressburg. I'm going to ping Blowers. I'm going to ping the guys over at TNVC and say, what do you know about this guy? How's his information compared to what you've experienced? Tactical Urban Sustainment course. Thank you. Yes. And that was Tusk at Darcy. And then also, again, how does this translate to what I've experienced? Unfortunately, a lot of very popular content it's kind of fantasy. It's kind of we're dreaming up these scenarios where we're going to dress up and we're going to save the day. We're going to put on a plate carrier and throw on this rifle. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Could we run into some issue where we do need to throw on plate carriers and grab rifles? Yeah, it's possible. Is it likely? Not likely. Is it likely within our lifetime? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, looking at the way things are going. But unfortunately, if something all of a sudden rises to popularity without any people that I respect interact with it or validate it, that's a huge red flag for me. So how was that? I can go in depth in any direction if you need.
Well, I'm thinking about, I'm really trying to, from the perspective of the uninitiated, where I spend so much of my time, because really most of the, I'm either starting their process in the gun world, or I'm even worse, I'm fixing the silly shenanigans of, somebody else gave them some real terrible advice. And now we're backpedaling.
Yeah.
But people get what I hear private lesson after private lesson and class after class after class is they're just constantly overloaded with data from Al Gore's box of death. Yeah. Right. And they don't know how to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yeah.
I was thinking more along the lines of like when the elevator pitch is bullshit, like already.
Yeah. So okay. I just thought of one thing that's really helped me, and it's one thing that's really helped me also on my side of everything running primary and secondary. The why. Yeah. To me, the why is the absolute most important. Google can tell me what. I don't care about what. I want to know why. We've been talking about on primary and secondary. We've been talking about 22s defensively. We've been talking about revolvers. We've been talking about 32, 350, or 327 Federal Magnum. We've been talking about mouse guns. What I've been looking at is, okay, why are these things why are these things people that I respect? Why are they considered? If people can explain the why, that really helps shed a lot of light, as opposed to, okay, so let's see here, this 3.6, or no, not 6. What is this? The X5, SIG X5. This is the best pistol ever made. You should buy it. That's what? I don't care. I want to know why that's the best pistol. Within my little network, we kind of shifted gears slightly where basically, you know what? If you say a High Point is the best pistol in the world and you explain why and it's articulate, that is perfectly fine. As long as you can explain this is why it fits. Now, that doesn't mean your answers are all completely right, or it can't use some tweaking. Find something that's going to be better for you. But if you can at least articulate, this is why I'm carrying this specific gun. This is why I'm carrying the LCR. Okay, I have some awesome cartridge inner compatibility. I can carry more than one type of cartridge, or round. So 327 Federal Magnum, 32 H&R Magnum, 32 long, 32 short. If I don't want to shoot all the spicy stuff, I can go to something a little lower, and also I can give it to friends, family for a training gun. I can give it to my 12-year-old daughter, and she can use the less spicy 32 round or 32 long rounds, and it's very pleasant to shoot. It's also small. It's lightweight, as opposed to shooting or carrying a J-frame that's only 5 rounds. I'm carrying 6. These are and I can carry it very easily, and it's very small. And the way I dress, I can't always wear something overt. As a matter of fact, as a police officer, when I'm off duty, I don't want to have any tells. I don't want to have anything showing. I don't want anything, any lumps or anything showing that there might be a gun. So finding nice concealment systems is such a huge plus. But explaining why, for me, is absolutely enormous. And if this wonderful source of information comes out of the blue and they're not explaining their position, why they're saying what they're saying, and they're just saying, this is what you need to do, this is the best, I don't care. You're wasting my time. Yeah.
I think that's fair. So that kind of brings up the difference between entertainment
and
information, right?
Yeah.
There's a pile of quality, fun, funny, cool. So you're affiliated, your buddies with like Forgotten Weapons, for example.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of like I don't know if I give a shit about 100-year-old guns for defensive use necessarily, but boy, is that cool information.
It's fascinating.
Well, what the hell? Like, I really thoroughly enjoy that. I don't go there to go, all right, Ian, I'm about to get out the credit card on the Google machine and figure out what the next tool is or what. But damn, is that cool info.
It truly is. And one of the coolest aspects for me, and just like the same reason I'm getting into old revolvers, to understand where we're going, I need to understand where we've been. So it's cool to track, okay, why were we using the M1 Garand? Oh, no, even better. Why did we go M14? I have an FAL right here, right there. That was one of the, what was it? The FAL, the 308 AR-10, and the M14. What were the contenders for the old battle rifle where the M14 ultimately won?
You got me.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
I have no idea.
Okay, so basically what happened with that, though, is it kind of showed us, okay, this is what the military went through. This is why they did what they did. We're kind of looking at it right now with the new rifles coming out. A few years ago, when the military was looking at going 308 battle rifles for their interim rifle, we had a podcast talking about that specifically, and then the project was ultimately killed. And we discussed, okay, this is why this isn't a good idea. And the whole why was just absolutely awesome. And Pressburg was a key figure in that discussion, talking about subject matter experts.
I remember that. I remember the conversation about ammunition weight and
out capacity and size, and and so
being pretty ranty.
Yeah. And then also the idea about specifically the concept of overmatch. And it was interesting to hear certain people talk about it who have been there and done that and said, if we are worried about our ability to engage at extended ranges, we usually just call in some kind of an airstrike.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to be carrying some larger, heavier, cumbersome rifle with much more heavier, larger ammo. What a concept. So why is the government spending X amount more money on a program like this? Why aren't they streamlining it? Why aren't they making it more effective for infantry?
Because they have to spend it now so they can take more of it later and all that stuff.
Probably because some of those senators own stock in those companies.
That's
But also, going slightly off tangent, and to go slightly political, gun laws. Gun laws are an infringement.
No. Say that shit loud and proud.
Gun laws are infringement.
Yeah, all gun laws are infringement.
Yeah. Who are the people putting those together? People that are absolutely clueless, that are not connected to society, that have armed guards. They will always have armed guards. They will always have some way to be armed, including themselves, but not the common citizen.
The NRA wrote all the legislation because they needed something to fight.
Oh, I hadn't heard that aspect, that perspective.
You didn't know that?
Keep trying to make you the Joe Rogan of podcasting, but you're not nearly as conspiracy oriented and alien oriented as I was hoping.
It directly contributed to the passage of the Gun Control Act and the assault weapons ban of 2004 or of 1994.
That one I'm familiar with, but I haven't thought about it in that perspective. That makes
it's creepy, isn't it? Kind of like,
and it's disappointing.
It's cheaper to keep you sick.
Yeah, but it's so disappointing.
You sick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, old Mr. LaPierre had to have his assistant write up a bunch of good gun laws so he could afford some more suits. Rabble.
So we have the military battle rifles. That are they needed? I don't know. I based on information I'm gathering, it doesn't sound like that. Those laws that's also being presented by the same people doing gun laws. Do we need gun laws? No. So who was it? Someone on one of my pages, I asked them, hey, what do you want me to talk about? And they brought up some case law. And I basically said, you know what? If there is a law that is granting rights that we already have, there's an issue.
Yep. I have to kind of right here locally, super hyper local, central Pennsylvania. A lot of states around us just got their freedom back.
Yeah.
Right? All of a sudden, now New Jersey and New York and Maryland went shall issue, right? So all of a sudden, out of the woodwork come all these people that want to talk about concealed carry, and I'm over here going, that bitch has been in a sock drawer for 100 years anyway. Now you're gonna carry it and give a shit? I don't know, man. Like, where were you 10 years ago? Because is
it so much to ask? Oh, dear listener, for just a little consistency. Just a little consistency. That's all I ask for. I don't even care if you waffle back and forth. Anti-gun, pro-gun, anti-gun. Don't give a shit. But be consistent.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to throw out another issue. And this one might not be the most popular to say in the law enforcement community, but why is it only cops get basically a permit to carry in all 50 states? That makes zero sense. My license works in all 50 states. Why shouldn't my right to carry a gun?
Yeah.
My ability to defend myself should not be contingent on what state I live in, what hoops I jump through for the government. It's a natural right.
I don't know. So coming from a state that only requires a license plate in the rear, I will be honest, I get nervous driving through states where I start seeing them in the front, like someone's going to pull my ass over.
Yeah.
Just because.
Yeah. So since you brought up law enforcement, that's on the list.
Yeah.
One of our mutual viewers, when we put up the thing and said, "Hey, what do we ask or what should we talk about tonight?" What are reasonable expectations of the community for law enforcement when it comes to active killer events?
Yeah. So
what do you believe to be your mandate? What is your job?
Yeah. So I was a patrol officer in 2008, and I got assigned to be a school resource officer. As a school resource officer, I covered 3 schools. I taught DARE. I then taught another program called NOVA, which I like better. That's beside the point.
Called what, sir?
NOVA. Yeah, nope. It's here in Utah. It's really cool. It's primarily talking about decision making versus substances. So I think I like the program. Really, really good program.
Because it gives you a why and not just a what.
It does. I wish I could remember the guy who's Charlie Wakamatsu. No, maybe that's his name. Very, very good. I think he's retired cop since. He might still be in. I don't know. It's been a few years. But again, back in 2008, I was assigned this, and I came to the realization I can't be everywhere at the same time. I can't be at all 3 schools at the same time. But what I can be is the first line of defense for the schools when I am there. So what I need to do is hone my own skills. I already was going to pistol classes. I already was going to rifle classes. I wasn't settling for the minimum standard my agency was providing, because if you really think about it, a qualification is a minimum standard. That is what we are striving for. Once you meet this, it doesn't matter if you go any further, because all we care about is meeting this minimum standard. Why I'm a big fan of going beyond that. I'm a big fan of agencies really helping officers develop their skill sets as opposed to check the box PowerPoint training. So I thought it would be a good idea to go through Darcy as a school resource officer to figure out better tactics, because Darcy isn't the counterterrorism school isn't a shooting class. It's a tactics class, and it's thinking about the whole problem and how to attack it and how to do it effectively. That is my mindset as a school resource officer. It is my duty to respond and stop the threat. If I'm on duty as a patrol officer and there's an active shooter, it is absolutely my duty to respond and intervene and stop the killing. So it seems each of these killers are learning from the last one. It seems right now their motivation is going after the high score. They want, and it's a cold way of saying it, and it upsets people when I said it. I taught a class to teachers a couple months ago, and I said, they're going after the high score, and they did not like that, but it's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just got a mild rise out of me on that one.
Yeah. But it's a game to them. So we had Columbine. We learned a lot from Columbine. aspects of Columbine that people weren't aware of. There were IEDs involved. There were distractions that were involved, including
four IEDs total, I think, too.
2 vehicles. There was something on some train tracks. The individual shooters had their own individual, they called them crickets. We talked a brief, I don't think it is going to make the final cut, but we talked about it last night a little. Basically improvised little handheld grenades. People are learning. The next big one that I can think of just off the top of my head is Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech dude barricaded himself and went in and killed a bunch of people. After Virginia Tech came out, after the studies came out about that and determined, okay, this guy barricaded himself. The idea of using your vehicle as a ram to get into a structure became much more mainstream. I personally bought pry bar bolt cutters and a sledge to keep in my car at all times. Just in the last 6 months, I've since bought a Halligan when I heard about Uvalde. And if I don't know if the rumors were true, but it got me thinking, okay, what if I do face a door and it's outward opening? We can't use a ram on that. We need to pry it open. I'm gonna get a Halligan for that. This is all my personal investment. Going to Darcy, personal investment. Getting additional equipment, additional training, all personal investment. And it's unfortunate that law enforcement is at that level, that it's not just provided. Because right now, where we're at, again, law enforcement is being taught to a standard that stops at the minimum. And as soon as you reach that minimum, you don't need to train anymore. Your training is a PowerPoint. It is check the box. If you have state mandated stuff, okay, we're going to sit in an office for 8 hours and watch someone read a PowerPoint to you. Great. That is not helping my skill set. I'm not going to be a more effective communicator, more effective officer or anything. Because ultimately, as a cop, a lot of people ask me that. They want to go into law enforcement. What do I do to prepare? Take a speech class. Take an improv class. Learn how to talk to people, because that is our number one tool right there. Sure, our mere presence is it's up there. But what we do the most, we're not shooting people. We're not running over people. We're not chasing people. We are talking to people. And it's amazing our ability, when used correctly, we can de-escalate using our voices. That being said, we also, with the proper amount of force done early enough, is also de-escalation, but that's another discussion. But officers' jobs, in my opinion, we serve the public. We are not above the public. I am a citizen. I'm not above the public. I work for the public. If something happens, despite what people say about case law, yeah, the Supreme Court says you don't have to save me or whatever. I don't care. Bullshit. I have my own standard. Much of my, if not 99%, if not 100% of my circle feel the same way. I don't care what if the what are they called? Supreme Court says, yeah, you don't have to defend them. I don't care. I'm going to do it, because that is what I'm trained for. That is why I am here. It's not to write tickets. It's not to get cats out of trees. That's actually firefighters. No, and honestly, it's not to save the day. It's to save people. And I didn't become a cop to be, I guess, like a Rambo or anything like that. That's kind of a dated term. No, it's to genuinely help. I served an LDS mission. I went to Berlin, Germany for 2 years. During that time, I came to the conclusion, because I always wanted to be in the military, I came to the conclusion, I actually like service much more. I really like guns, and I want to serve the public. Cop. And this is back when cops were respected. That's when it's still an honorable profession, but our standards were different then. And so when I went through the academy back last century, when I started law enforcement last century, we had a different breed. And those were the guys that I looked up to. And those were my heroes, still are my heroes. And those are the people that would go in and they would save the day. And if there was an active shooter, they would stop it. And that is what I strive to do. That's what I strive. And as a veteran, as one of the old guys, because that's what I am. I'm one of the old guys in law enforcement. I try my best to be a positive influence to help the officers around me understand that. But also, it's important for them to understand rights, gun rights. that's not something, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Someone has a gun on them, good for them. But I'm not going to do anything to violate people's rights. That is my biggest worry. And I try to let officers know about that. And I try to show officers why it's important that we serve in that capacity. So we don't violate people's rights. And we stop the killing. If I respond to a wreck and there are injuries, it's across Main Street and it's stopping traffic, what am I doing by responding? I'm potentially reducing risk. I'm potentially saving lives, potentially. That's what we do. So whether it's a car wreck or someone shooting, law enforcement needs to respond, and they need to understand that. And most importantly, they need to be prepared for it. And that might take some of their own personal investment.
So you just did a very good job laying out proper expectations. They are what we expect of you guys, right? Like we love you. You're our brothers, literally my brother, right?
And we're all citizens, all of us.
Sure. I know exactly what I can expect out of the cops that I know and the people that I've trained with and have trained me, and I've trained them, and people in my family, et cetera, et cetera. Many of you would answer that in the exact same way, right? Now, the thing that many people don't, because that's everybody's expectation. What you just said is, if you ask 100 people out of 100 people, what you just said is the expectation. That's what they want to hear. Now, is the system around you set up to deliver positive results on those expectations?
No.
Right.
No, it is not. There's not funding, and there's not motivation to get that funding. Now, that being said, my current chief, that dude is awesome when it comes to trying to get us the best training, trying to get us the most updated everything. Hell, our entire fleet just got updated to F-150s. We have good functional vehicles. We have good weapons. We have good training. We're also a small agency, though. I work for an 11-man agency, 12, not kind of the part-timers. Not every agency is like that. If we go to the bigger agencies, where it's much more political, we don't have chiefs of police. We have politicians, and we don't have cops at the helm. We have politicians. And that might also show why in larger cities, why their chiefs might be implementing certain policies, or they might be leaning in a different direction than others with the rest of the United States. So, and because of, and to quote Chuck Haggard, these managers, not leaders, they're lacking courage in doing what's right. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what we need to be doing. We need to be doing what is right, and right by us, right by our peers, right by the citizens we serve.
What's the public's recourse for this? What do we do about it? Besides join up yourself, like put up or shut up, right?
No, it's easier than that. It's and I still have hope. I still am naive and hopeful, and what's the word for it? I'm
optimistic.
I'm optimistic. Voting. Ultimately, if you look at it, sheriffs are voted in. If you have a crappy sheriff that isn't doing if his or her deputies are not serving the public, we have the ability to pull them out of office. Chiefs of police are hired and appointed by mayors. Ultimately, if mayor says, you know what, I want to go in this direction when the rest of the city wants to go in this direction, well, we better do something about that. We need to do something about the mayor, because ultimately the chief of police is going to get input directly from the citizens. But it's the mayor or the city council that's going to override that. So just like with our regular politicians, if you happen to live in a state that is starting to look at gun control legislation and take it seriously, you better be contacting your legislators and telling them that is unacceptable. You serve me. I am not one of your peons. Same for police. If your mayor is putting pressure on the chief to go in a specific direction that is counterproductive to what you want your police department to do, you need to contact your mayor and your city council and find out why, because that's important, And a lot of times budgetary concerns, budget is that's what makes the world go round. But there are still resources and I'm not a huge fan of alert, but it's free and it provides a minimum standard. There's still resources out there that officers can or departments can use. But what we have to do is go up the food chain and figure out, okay, who's providing what direction to who and where and why, and ultimately go above the chief and then find out what that position of Chicago. So I grew up in a suburb of Chicago. The current chief or the current city mayor of Chicago was all about defunding the police, and now she's back in the police. Kind of strange.
Yeah, because they started showing up on her block, and all of a sudden the shit got real, and well, maybe them their police is a good idea. Yeah. All right. So that's super reasonable. So vote, right? What about individual actions? Like, do you as a law enforcement officer welcome community involvement in that? You want to talk to Joe Citizen?
I love it.
Right.
I absolutely love it. So there is a road in town that is highly used, and I just lived there for a month just to see how many traffic stops I can get when I'm bored. Practically everyone got a warning because they were speeding. But ultimately what that did was I got to know the area, or I got to know the people that were living there. And it was actually a very, very positive interaction. And there, because I know the community had some serious concerns with all this traffic, and there are kids and all that, because it's a very residential area. So I'm stopping these cars left and right and getting a thank you from these cars. And then as I'm parked there, the citizens are coming up and thanking me for doing that. During those interactions, I get to tell them, hey, this is what our chief's about. This is what our mayor's about. We're about education. A ticket and a warning, they're going to be about the same. So as long as we're getting education out, that is awesome. And then they give me their 2 cents, and I tell them about the police department and say, hey, we're open 24/7. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call.
We're open 24/7.
Hey, your number's still 911? Oh,
yes. All righty then.
So now let's flip the script a little bit. What should law enforcement be able to expect of the community that it's policing?
Now, I wouldn't say expect, but I have a couple things in mind that I would like to see happen. That would be wonderful. Number one, have a plan before things already happen. So mental health has been a huge issue. During COVID, when we just came out of COVID, a lot of people ran into some personal issues, some mental issues. My best recommendation is, if you're suspecting some issues with a friend or a family member, or even yourself, put together a plan before you actually need it. Have not a command structure, but have a structure in place of who you're going to contact. Because just blindly dialing 911 saying, hey, my brother's out of his mind, or my kid's out of his mind, or wife, or whoever. Okay, fire, EMS, and law enforcement are going to arrive. And we're going to look at each other and going, I don't know what to do with this. Law enforcement, we're not trained to deal with mental stuff. EMS is blood and guts. They're not mental. But if you already have a system in place where, well, I already have a counselor, or I already know what the mental health resources are available in my area, I'm going to go there, because 911, the dispatcher is going to determine who's going to get the call. And so having that is huge.
Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that cops expect individual citizens to be self-sufficient?
It's a wonderful idea. But let's and my next thing is the same.
I don't want to be an adult anymore.
Exactly. So we have two issues that are the exact same problem about being an adult. Okay, we're all parents. Don't rely on the police to be a parent for you. You need to be a cop. Or a cop. You need to be a parent. Too often are we called over to people's houses because Timmy won't go to school. Timmy. Whatever. The kid won't go to school. Why are you involving us?
I wanted to stay in bed a little bit longer. Jesus, Matt, you don't got to get personal.
That's right. And the same for, okay, there's a problem with your neighbor. Their music's too loud, or their dog's barking. Can you contact your neighbor maybe? Don't you think that's How about actually interact with your neighbors? Because there is a benefit to knowing your neighbors. They're going to be more apt to, or more likely to talk to you if they see some issues. If you have a nice relationship with neighbors in your neighborhood, you wave, you say hi, you go get the mail, they come out and talk to you. What a wonderful concept. And so if my neighbor has their dog barking, okay, well, just call them and let them know. Hey, just so you know, your dog's barking. Your dog got loose. Your kids are barking. Whatever.
Your kids got loose.
Your kids are loose. Again, call the police. And not using these resources where, you know what, I've had to respond to domestics and wrecks and having these calls pile on. And then at the very end, there's a dog barking. Okay, well, that's going absolute last. But that also could have been handled if people were comfortable in being adults and talking to their neighbors, or if they were comfortable in being parents and actually doing something. We're not going to transport your kid to the juvenile center because they're not going to school. You can do that, but that's you not wanting to be a parent. That's not me not wanting to serve the public.
Can I call the non-emergency number and have you come out and bully my son for extra money off duty?
That's a lot of times. Yeah, come do scared straight. Oh, we don't do that. I don't want to have kids scared of me.
Right.
So one of the things I do every night, at least the nights that not Sundays, but I go to the high school parking lot. So I work currently 2 p.m. to midnight. And if I'm not on any calls and I need to do reports, I'm going to park in the high school parking lot. And that happens to be where all the high school kids, when they're bored, they go to that parking lot. I don't know why. I didn't do that when I was their age. I'm parked there. By me just being there, they're not doing overly stupid stuff. They're still going to do stupid stuff. But it's cool how many of the kids then come over and park next to me and talk to me. And then that crowd grows and grows. And then I get out of my car and then I tell them about all the violations with their vehicles and tell them, careful, troopers are out. I'm not a trooper. I don't care about this stuff. But just so you know, this is what's going to get you a ticket. And this is how you're going to avoid getting a ticket, and telling them stuff like that.
Yeah. How do you avoid getting out of a ticket? Don't get pulled over by a statey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Coming home from the range.
Yeah. But these positive interactions, it doesn't cost anything other than time, which I'm paid by the hour. I'm already there. But I don't want to be put in a position where, okay, I need to be artificially the bad guy. Be the parent. Don't make someone else the bad guy. Don't make the cops be the bad guy. Because what's the later repercussion? Is that kid going to have animosity later on?
Well, asshole kids turn into be asshole adults. I'm a firm believer, you mentioned Columbine. I'm a firm believer that had that particular generation still grown up in a household that wasn't afraid to beat the shit out of their kids when they became assholes, they wouldn't have been building their bombs and collecting weapons for high schoolers, by the way, right?
Yeah. In
the basement of their parents' house. Like, these guys weren't Ted Kaczynski with some shack in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
This was happening in the basement of their parents' house, which was an upper middle class, predominant, suburban neighborhood. It's Colorado, for Christ's sake, the home of skiing
and Magpul.
And Magpul, right?
I think
Texas.
It's Texas. I thought it was Colorado.
Texas wasn't. Or Magpul wasn't Colorado originally, but then they started passing magazine bans and shit, and then Magpul said, "Fuck you." But yeah, it's just it boggles my mind. The sad thing is, honestly, one of the reasons that I'm even my wife and I decided to homeschool our kids this year, because other kids were being assholes. Those kids, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, okay. But those little bastards that you can see, you're like, yeah, you're going to be in jail in like 5 years.
Absolutely, right? Yeah.
In 6th grade, my son was threatened to be stabbed by another kid.
And where's the problem coming from? One step above them.
The parents. Yep. Every single kid. And come to find out, just about as we dug into it, because we live in a small town, we don't know a whole lot of people because we're transplants. We like to keep our circle small. But the few people we know a lot of people. And when we explain to them, they're like, "Oh yeah, so and so, little Johnny is, he's,
Not Timmy.
He lives with his I didn't want to make it. I don't want to point the finger at myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, they come to find, oh yeah, he doesn't have his mom and dad. He lives with he's being raised by his grandparents.
Yeah.
Right. That's generally the case, or there's a lack of responsible parental figures in their life. Period. And I'm like, oh, that kid just needs his ass whipped. Right.
Well, let's compare the way, and I suspect I'm a little older than you guys. Let's compare the way we grew up compared to them. I didn't have internet. I had Nintendo. Nope. I had Atari too, but I didn't have internet. I had encyclopedias.
Yep.
I didn't have. Yeah, we did have microwaves, but the commonality I'm seeing is they get everything immediately. There's entitlement. There's expectation of everything instantaneous, and you don't need to earn anything.
It's the generation of instant gratification without any effort.
It is, and everyone's and everyone's a winner. Everyone gets a trophy.
Right.
Well, that, and I mean, when you had to fend off the Indians the whole time, there wasn't a lot of time to be a terrible person, right?
Well, I'm not that old.
Oh, I just,
No, that's Hirsch.
Oh, Hirsch is old. Matt, this dude's still old. One of the guys that works for me out here training has literally been teaching guns for 50 freaking years.
Yeah.
Right. And every time I'll do a quick little intro. I'm like, hey guys, there's 78 to 100 years of experience in this room right now. And also I'm here.
Yeah, that's right.
Now it's just kind of like, wait, and they're doing the math on their, my man's old.
His social security number is 3 digits.
That's right.
His IDPA number is A00011 or some shit. He's an old man. Anyway, he's not going to see a podcast because he's old. So
last night I had Mark Fricky on as a guest, and Mark is an awesome source of information. Older guy, and he was talking about he started being a cop in 68 or 72. I think 72. And he was talking about his NRA. He was doing something with the NRA, and I asked, "So your membership number is 2?" Yeah, close. It's close.
And then he pulled off. Then he pulled off his belt and spanked you.
Yes, again.
Okay.
So next up,
the good old days.
Next up, I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
I'm going to throw you a little bit of a curveball. And I'm going to ask you to throw in a question from your side. Do you have anything that you want to ask?
Okay, so for you guys, what has been the biggest hurdle in finding students who actually want to be taught?
Yeah, that is a hurdle.
Having to drive to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So I've been blessed in that I got into this at the right time, in the right space, in the right place, and I was smart. I was smart enough to shut the hell up for a long time, because I have the instinct that I want to help. So I false started a number of times, like, oh wait, no, not yet, right? Oh, well, not yet. And I think that, in general, the personality trait of the helpful and the fun and the enjoyment and the hey man, I'm just a good dude who wants to help you, actually comes through. And I think that personality trait attracts that in other people. I'm blessed that I don't get a lot of trash bag terrible students. I do get some. I get more people who want their preconceived notions validated, though.
Yeah.
I do get a lot of that. So not a bad person, not a bad guy, nice to be around, cool, fun, fine, everything's good. But they really want you to validate the choices that they've already made.
Yeah.
As opposed to just come at it from a blank slate and see how we solve the problem. So, the guy who shows up with the Kel-Tec DPS 12 to a shotgun private lesson, who just wants me to say, yeah, that's an okay gun.
Yeah.
So, all right, man, it's an okay gun. If that's the shotgun you got, I guess we'll freaking pattern the thing. But meanwhile, why? And thankfully, I catch most people early enough in the process that they haven't invested $2 gajillion yet.
Yeah.
And we can kind of have a little, I don't know. I think really the best thing I can say about it is the openness and the passion comes out in you, the teacher, and that passion attracts passion in people who are equally passionate about learning. And it just happens to be guns this time. But, my man took a shitload of kayak lessons and paid a hunting guide and is the kind of person in business who's not afraid to hire a consultant. And I don't know. I think good attracts good, and the right mindset attracts the right mindset a lot of the time. So we're lucky in that way.
Yeah. Kent mentioned I'm coming off the bench. About 8 years ago, I decided to start a training company. Got in good with a few of the local gun stores, a couple of the local ranges. Really started broadcasting it out there. I was even volunteering and agreeing to do the Tennessee State, at the time when it had the requirement, concealed carry weapons course. I was given carte blanche to advertise all I wanted in that, any privates or anything like that I wanted to get out. My issue is honestly regionally, and Matt, you probably see kind of the same thing out there in Utah, right? But out here in Tennessee, there's a whole lot of that. Oh, I've been shooting since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I don't need no training. And now that Tennessee's done away with the requirement for a CCW permit, right, we've essentially done – it's like a half a step behind constitutional carry.
Yeah.
They've effectively decriminalized carrying a weapon on you or in your vehicle without a license, period, right? So really that's just exacerbated the issue, right? You've got a whole lot of people out here, and I see it every time I go to the range, right? And the range facility that I go to is absolutely gorgeous. And I mean, you could give me, just say, TJ, here's a blank check for, up to and including several millions of dollars. I could not come up with a range facility like this, but I see it every day. Walking through the pistol bays, going to do my own little personal drills. Now, to be fair, I've got a few buddies at work. They realize that I kind of know my shit. So actually, as a matter of fact, I just went to the range with one of them a couple weeks ago when I got my ticket. Mm-hmm. He was like, hey, man, he goes, I need to knock the cobwebs off. I know you're still really active in this. Can you show me a few things? Spent about 5 hours out there with him. Had an absolute great time. Learned a lot. But as we're walking down the pistol bays, I'm still seeing the people that look like they got dragged through a 511 catalog, right? Dudes teacupping the shit out of their gut. I watched a dude address a plate rack, like, bang, would rotate his hips and legs, take a step, turn back, bang, to the next plate. I'm like, duh.
That was for a TikTok video, and there was music to it. You
this
just
dude
didn't
was
see
no.
You didn't see the final product.
Yeah, but I was like, maybe. Maybe it was one of those things where he's recording it twice so he can layer it on top of each other so his legs go one direction.
There you go.
Let's get creative with it, right? But yeah, I mean, that's really been the biggest issue. So I'm hoping that through the reinvigoration of, my interest in church, honestly, I can't hit the nail on the head. I'm just fucking fed up.
Yeah. Right.
I'm tired of people not taking enough personal responsibility. Matt, nothing but love for you, dude. Nothing but respect for you as a cop. But I don't know of a single issue where a cop stopped a crime. Mm-hmm. You may have prevented a future crime by arresting the piece of shit.
Yeah.
But the one in prior, the dude punching me in the face right now, there ain't nobody coming to stop that from happening but me. Right? So the lack of personal responsibility that I see in America today drives me up a wall. Honestly, it was one of the biggest issues that I had. I just a little bit about my background. I've done 7 deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. My biggest issue coming back with that, and I feel like Chuck and I would really get along with, we had Chuck on the show, right? Great dude. I'd love to sit down and have a beer with him.
Wonderful guy.
But and I'm sure his experiences are far more impactful than mine were. But at the same time, I feel like we would really bond over and truly understand each other when we talk about our biggest hurdle was truly being able to reintegrate with civilian life.
Yes. Oh, we've had those
Right.
conversations. Yeah.
Yeah, regardless of the ugly shit you might have seen, and it differs from person to person. Your mileage may vary, but I isolated myself for a really long time just because I didn't want to deal with people. Like I didn't care anymore. Apathetic is probably the best way to describe my personality at that point in time in my life.
Yeah.
So just with everything going on, right, it's been a reemergence of I can't sit by and just bitch about it all the time. At least if I'm going to be angry at somebody, it's not going to be because I'm not trying to help them.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, my biggest issue is honestly just the location, and the temperament and personality and the mindset of the people around here.
I love you, buddy. With respect, you are going to find out that 8 years later, and a different set of perspectives, the same thing that has attracted me and so many other people to you will attract the good around you. And I swear you'll find them because they're down there too.
Oh yeah, to be fair, I probably was kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm. That's how I was doing my best to, like, I'm telling you right now, I just like this shit. We've done 116 of these now. Matt, go back and watch episode 1 someday.
Oh, compare?
And just listen to TJ be like, fucking no.
Yeah.
No. And you're like, well, okay, we know. I know that that's the answer. But you just terrified that human. It's okay. Put the knife hand down. You'll be all right. So I'm telling you.
It works on you.
It does. Your personal experience and your career growth and your professional communication and all the things that have changed in your life since you reintegrated will find you a different set of students than you found the first time, I assure you.
All that's running through my mind is if somebody picks up the audio at that exact moment, they're going to think I'm an ex-convict.
I mean, the sleeveless shit ain't helping. We'll get to like, we'll HR will reintegrate you. We'll talk about
it's the spider web tattoo on my elbow and the teardrop.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about the Pretty Woman episode.
Yeah,
it's more like the crying game.
I hope not.
By the way, for those I know, everyone has, I'm sure, seen a scene, at least reenacted from the crying game. But if you actually stop and either A, watch the movie, or B, read the synopsis, you'll understand why the dude was just sobbing unintelligibly in the shower while burning his clothes.
Well, and also Ace Ventura did the same thing.
Yeah, that was one of the more popular reenactments of that scene. But I was like, what is everybody talking about this? IMDb that shit. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Explains so much.
You guys are way too. The cultural references for me are just too deep. Deep cuts.
I can go. I very much enjoy that. So
all right. So another solid question for you, Matt.
Sure.
You have a loved one. I'm assuming you have loved ones.
Yeah. Well, I think it only goes one way.
Right.
Yeah.
You love them not so much.
Not so much.
The direction the chicken nugget flies determines.
Exactly.
Whoever this loved one is, you've chosen that they're not going to learn from you.
Yeah.
Because,
this is real.
They don't listen to daddy or husband or brother or uncle or cousin as well as they would somebody else. You've got 3 weekends, $4,000 and change to invest total. We got to get them geared up. We got to get them set up. We got to get their priorities in order. Who are you sending them to? For what? You are the training network guy, right? You have all the connections. You can pick up the cell phone. You can call anybody. I'm not even asking you to dime out your friends and go, oh, pistol class A is better than pistol class B. Yep. What I'm really asking is, what is the priority of work? Where do they start and where do they end for that budget?
So it starts, So it starts with a Smith & Wesson Model 29 44 Magnum.
Perfect.
No.
He was waiting this whole time to pick that.
No, I have a bunch just right all around me. That one back.
Couldn't tell.
So, those two.
YouTube Live doesn't allow gun handling.
Oh, damn it, that's right. Now
there goes the
feed. I did that earlier too.
You too.
So, as far as the training is concerned, honestly, anyone that I trust. And so I have a buddy known as John the Fish Cop. And John would be my first person I would have my wife go through for basic pistol. And it doesn't have to be fancy. And for me, the most important part, or the most important thing, is it's convenient because he lives close by. So and I'm afraid going through like a professional class, that would be too intimidating. Having John teach, I think would be, and John, he works for a Division of Wildlife Resources in Utah, firearms instructor, wonderful guy. I would have him teach, but also I could have a bunch of other friends teach, but he would be my first choice because there's trust there. There's convenience. As far as the firearms are concerned with that. So the cool thing, and I brought this up, and I'm going to use my wife as the example with this because I've talked to John about it. And I said, I'm not going to teach her. She's not going to listen. When she's finally ready, would you mind teaching her? And I have a bit of a selection. And what I'd like to do is present all of this and say, okay, what's your mission? What are you doing? What do you want to do? How are you dressed? How do we incorporate all of this and put in a firearm in there? To bring up a topic that hasn't been touched on yet, the answer might be a 22. Actually, that's a 25, but it might be a 22 because based on mission, based on the way you're dressed, based on all of this, a 22 might be the only viable solution. So with that in mind, with the 22, I'm not running into Nakatomi Plaza to rescue the hostages. No, 22's
movie.
It is, as is Lethal Weapon. 22's ballistic pepper spray. Shoot and run away. It is my get out of trouble gun. So is 38 or 380. 38 to a point maybe. But when we get into the 9s, then okay, I can be aggressive with whatever my mission is. On duty, I'm carrying a 9mm. Limited capacity with this 327. I probably am not going to push the fight unless it gets to me. However, if I'm carrying my staccato with 20 rounds, I probably could do a little bit more intervention. But ultimately, it falls down on, okay, what's my mission? And then also the uncomfortable part to discuss also is, what are you capable of? What's your skill set? Are you putting others at risk? Are you putting yourself unnecessarily at risk? Are there people that are looking up to you for defense? If this is all I have and I'm with my son, there's no way in hell I'm going to try to press the fight. I'm going to try to get out. If I can give my son to someone that can escape, then I might try to do some serious, I might try to intervene. And by intervene, one of the aspects of intervening is it's not necessarily stopping the threat or killing the threat. It's maybe it might just be distracting them and stopping them from killing the people that are immediately around them, creating me as the target versus the people that are unarmed. And this is a reality. This is something to consider. So ultimately, mission drives the gear with all of this. So with my wife, I don't think she's going to be carrying a Roland Special. I can tell you that right now. She probably is going to urge for some kind of purse carry, which I do not agree with. I would urge for an Enigma, Filster Enigma. A Glock 43X would be awesome, but I think it would be too large for her. She's a small person, not a little person. That's something else. Okay, so what aspect have I not touched on with the question?
So the priority of trade. So we've got a couple classes. So we talked about basic pistol. What else is in the mix as far as like what you want her to?
Armed Parent. I haven't taken it. I haven't taken Armed Parent, but I've heard nothing but good things. And this is part of using my network.
Yep.
Comparing and hearing from all my friends saying, yeah, this is something you want to look at. And so I can comfortably say that without taking it. Yeah, this sounds like it would be a good viable course. Some form of unarmed defense, jiu-jitsu or something like that. One of the things for some reason I'm seeing in law enforcement, and this is parallel. Officers are removing options. They're relying on, okay, I have a gun, I have a taser, I have hands-on, I have my voice. Well, we could put in some other stuff in there. We could put in a baton. We can put in pepper spray. If all I have is a gun, what are my choices for use of force? Okay, well, it's gun, open hand or closed hand, or verbal. Do I have any intermediate options? I would like my wife to have intermediate options. So gun isn't the first choice. And I don't know how an open hand or closed hand defense may not be viable for her. So and then not baton, pepper spray might be a viable thing. One of the things that I've really appreciated from Daryl Bulkey, what he says, basically he carries I think currently it's a 365, a SIG 365 is his primary. And then he has in a pocket, like a LCR 22 revolver. And the 22 revolver is essentially ballistic pepper spray. And that's put that in someone's face and press the trigger. If it doesn't go away, he goes up to the next level. Both of those are both deadly force without a doubt. But controlled 22 when you're getting the necessary penetration, that doesn't sound like a horrible option. And then also, this is what Daryl chooses for what he found to be optimal for his setup, what he's doing, where he's at, how he dresses. For someone that's living in South Side of Chicago and some gang-ridden neighborhood, that might not be the best option. You might want the Roland Special and a rifle.
Mm-hmm. That video that pops up on Facebook every once in a while, the cop pulls a guy over. He's like, "Got any guns?" Dude's, "No." He's like, "Shit, you gonna need one. I'll be right back." He goes, I like that shit.
I was wondering which direction you were going to go with that.
Yeah.
Look, you got any guns? Hell yeah. Come on, man. Let me show you.
Yeah, that one's another good one.
Which, by the way, awkward moment. Very professional state troopers, but when my AR-15's laid out in the backseat of my truck and there's my gun belt, and he's like, "Any weapons in the vehicle?" I'm like, "Are you fucking blind?" It's right there.
I don't even ask that question.
I'm like, and that's just the one you see.
Yeah, that's a question I don't even bother asking because I don't care. We're in Utah. Everyone is armed.
He was super chill about it. He came over and, license registration. He clearly saw the rifle, but he was like, license registration. I'm like, "Officer, happy to comply. However, you should be aware that I am concealed carrying. It is carried at my appendix. I do not want to reach for my front pocket without your say so." And he goes, "You keep yours where mine is. Mine will stay where it is, and we're all good, killer." I'm like, "All right, let's do this. Time to go get my ticket." 70 to 55, by the way.
That's not that bad. Were you cited for 9 over?
Oh no, he gave me the full 70 over or 15 over. I'm going to court. I'm going to court. Honestly, speaking of parenting, I'm actually going to take my son.
Oh, cool. That's a good idea.
Not because I want to play the pity card. If anything, my 13-year-olds are going to be sitting back laughing at me. But I think it's important for parents to show their kids and demonstrate vulnerability as well as accountability, right? I am hoping to have the points taken off my license. I'll gladly pay the full fee, but I don't have the time to go to traffic school again. But I also want to demonstrate to myself, because he's 13, he's going to be driving here in about 3 years, right? Hey, man, just because you're a grown up don't mean that you're not held accountable. Just like I get on to you for not doing your chores, there's people that get on to grown-ups when they don't do what's right either.
Well, it's also fascinating to see civics in action. You read about it, but do you ever get to see it? No.
Yeah, well, in this case, my son's going to learn the value of, what happens when you do and do not know the judge. Because my wife has been to and Kent knows this, but my wife has gotten way more tickets than I have. So when I finally bring one home, oh, the laughter through the hallways. But she went to court, and it was very much next case. Oh, Jimmy Dean, how's your dad? How's your mama? How's your sisters? Okay, well, this case is dismissed. Ma'am, who are you and why were you speeding on my highway? Like, oh, come on.
Yep.
So, yeah. Kangaroo Court is in session.
I love how you made the Southern corrupt judge, Jimmy Dean.
No, that was the defendant.
Oh, okay. All right.
I thought we were talking about sausage.
Yeah, I was all about sausage there.
Breakfast sausage.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess we'll have to end with this. And this is going to be the long one.
Because I can keep on going.
Yeah, I
we
know.
know.
Yeah, we know.
We can do part 2.
We're well aware. Well, absolutely.
That's why hold on. That's why we do multiple episodes and bring guests back. There's so much more to discuss.
I
but at the
also
same time,
I've gotten 5 texts from the wife saying, "Are you done?" No.
Right.
Podcast.
It's a thing. So, Matt, for so long, P&S and you specifically have been the bastion of the snobs, right? Those of us who just wanted to say, God damn it, get the best possible gun ever. Amen. Guilty, right? I'll just put my hand up. I'll be guilty. You done went and you matured your positions on some stuff, and you've left us in a place where we are leaderless.
Isn't it great?
It is not.
Because you do have a leader.
Who?
You. Every individual person.
Oh, that got all motivational on me.
Every individual person determines what that mission is and what's going to work best for them. Okay. So I am 6'5". I am 250 on a good day. I can appendix a Roland. I can appendix this SIG X5. Not everyone can do that. Due to my size and age, I guess I'm actually getting old, so I can't use that. I might be stronger than others, so I can get away with more. Not everyone has the exact same attributes that I do: experience, training, mindset, physical whatevers. So what I can get away with isn't necessarily going to, and also in time, I have, there are 2 types of budgets. We have financial budget and we have time budget. With this time budget, that's training, that's individual, that's your dry fire, that's going to classes, that's developing your skill sets. Financial budgets, not everyone can drop $2,000 on a pistol. So it's super, super, super easy for us to hover at the top and say, this is it. And what I determined was, that's not where everyone's at. Not everyone's going to be taking a Hodge or a Knights. Not everyone's going to be carrying a Staccato or a Chambers or a Roland. Not everyone's going to be running the highest speed, lightest, best plate carriers. Especially because all of that stuff probably is not going to be integrated as part of their daily life. So to figure out, okay, this is the top. Yeah, that's no problem. This is the bottom. Where does everything fit in between? And so for some, we talked about 22s a little. We talked about revolvers a little. For some, people see that under the bottom. Yeah, that's subpar. Well, if you really think about it, I can think of people, 22 revolver, that's pretty much what they can handle. Are they wrong because of that? No, they can't handle more. Is it authentic? Is it genuine to say everyone has to have a Roland Special? No. Are they cool? Yeah. Are they fun? Absolutely. Is it awesome to have a wall full of guns? Yeah. And I love taking them out. If I have a class, I bring everything and everyone gets to shoot whatever the hell they want. It gives people a better idea of what's available. But when it comes down to it, what's the most realistic thing for what you plan on doing, how you're dressed? What are your expectations of yourself? Is it realistic to keep a gun, a rifle, or a rifle and an armor and helmet in your car for that active shooter? Well, most of the times when I read people talking about that, they haven't thought about, okay, how is police response going to intervene with that? And how are they going to view you? Are you splitting resources? If active shooters inside the school shooting stuff up, random person pulls up in their truck, throws on all this stuff and runs in, are all the resources still focused on the actual threat? Or are they pulling resources away to focus on you? Yeah.
I'm
So
just gonna run up to you and go, "Same team, bro."
yeah,
Right?
if only it were that easy.
Is that gonna work?
Well, and so people ask, "Oh, what if I have a U.S. flag on my plate carrier? What if I'm carrying an AR?" If you're an unknown, they're going to address you as an unknown.
Yeah, descriptor was man with gun.
Yeah,
that's it. They're not stopping to check your wardrobe.
Yeah. So and that's going to be that's a podcast episode that we're planning out as we speak. Law enforcement response to terroristic type events like that. What does the public see versus what's actually happening? Are you seeing a bunch of officers standing around, or are they staging? Or is that command? Because we need a command structure for you have all these resources coming in, there needs to be command. So going back to the original question, the leadership, it is you. You are the one that needs to be able to make these determinations. Stop listening to people in their absolutes and consider yourself, because you are the factor that determines what is best for you, not random Instagram, even me. And it's just like, don't do what they tell you. Same. Everything I say, completely disregard and check it and verify it. And if it works, please follow that. Please do what's best for you, because I can't tell you what's going to be best for you.
So, a gentleman who's been in law enforcement for a good long while. He's been interacting in the chat by the name of Dan Brady. He's been teaching with Apache Solutions, so forth, and he brought up a point that several people messaged and said, "Well, ask him what the hell's up with the 22 thing." Like, all right, pal. Dan actually asked a pretty intelligent question, which was, are we in danger of people taking the advice from a soundbite and misapplying it to an overall, like is the message that a 22 is fine for everyone for self-defense no matter what? Now, if you paid attention to Mr. Landfair's 3-minute segment that he just put up as a soundbite, was mission drives the gear. It's up to you to figure out what the tools are that you need based on your own parameters. But are we in danger of mixed messages when it comes to advocating for suboptimal choices in other categories? Mm-hmm. And this can go both ways, right? So you're certainly in danger of everybody needs a role and that's the end, amen. And by the way, that's kind of a misnomer, because that was never the messaging on P&S ever that
Chuck explained it to me in one of our chats before we did the podcast, just prior to us doing the podcasts. And it made a lot of sense. So I wanted to try it, and I tried it, and I shot it, and I was amazed by it. So I did a Instagram post featuring it, #Roland Special. I named it because he was Roland at the time, and I wanted to do it in his honor because he had introduced it to me. It's super cool. It's such a cool concept. That's all. It's not everyone needs it. If you have an opportunity to try one, compare it to a stock Glock 19, you might see a difference in your overall performance. To me, that's absolutely fascinating.
Yep. Yeah. But so as we apply the advice, we say, okay, well, the LCR 22 federal punch, blah, blah, blah. We hear all the art. We hear the, hey, 22 is unreliable in ignition. We talk about, ballistics and wounding, and you guys just did episode 108. I'm not the whole 308. I'm not the whole way through it yet, but a ton of quality information on, you guys got Dr. Sherman House on there talking about people's faces getting all jacked up with ballistics and wad cutters and a whole nother, pile of stuff. But at the end of the day, we end up in this place where the student or the learner or the person on the internet asking the question, they just want the fucking box check. They just want an answer.
They do.
They just want, Matt, what do I get?
Yeah.
Matt, what do I get?
And the answer is it depends.
Right. You're over here going, well, it's nuanced and, it has to do.
Where's my instant gratification?
Right.
Exactly. Just like the kids.
Right. Mm-hmm. So they're saying, hey, what do I get? And you're going, well, if the moon rises in the east and then
it's true,
then you get up, and at the end of the day, nobody wants to process the nuance in information, regardless of whether it's picking a home security system, regardless of whether it's medical, or regardless of whether it's Something that TJ's well versed in is cybersecurity, or whether it's weight loss, or whether it's physical fitness, or whether it's how do I lose weight? I don't know, dude. It depends. Unfortunately, after losing a kid, I put on a pile of weight. Right, lost my mind for a while, as you would. You know what? Fitness and weight loss is a whole shitload different in your early 30s.
Yeah,
than it was in your low 20s. Right. Well, how do I lose weight? I don't know, dumbass, eat less. Okay, thanks for the tip. Like, there needs to be more nuance in the discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, God, dude, how many hours did you and Soph spend on the phone with Charlie? Just going through that whole diet shit?
Oh, endless.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making here is when people say these things are misapplied, the real truth is the conversation didn't start with the correct amount of information in the first place, did it? How many people hit the internet and say, Matt, my name's Kent. I'm 5'8", 245 to 250 pounds right now. I was 373 here a little bit ago, though, so I'm on my way down.
Glock 48 from Sling'N.
Perfect. Nice job. It's almost like you knew the answer. And then they say, well, here's what I do for a living, and here's where I spend most of my time, and I want to be able to come home and play with my son with the same gun on, and then the next thing I want to do is take all my clothes off and jump on a bike and not have to switch holsters. No, nobody tells you any of that shit. People say, hey, what's the best gun, or what's the best med kit?
See, and the way you just described that also talks about an aspect no one considers. At what point is that gun hindering your life? Are we carrying a gun to live, or are we living to carry a gun? And that's something no one thinks about.
Oh, fuck. If you ever invent a time machine, can you go back?
All of us. That's again, a lot of primary and secondary is my own personal journey. And that's why I was firm in, well, I'm going to carry the biggest thing I can. Well, then I realized, oh, this doesn't work. Let's look at these other options and figure out how am I going to balance life and defense, be effective in my capacity to defend my family, but also be able to enjoy my family and not be hindered by carrying a full-size M16A4. It's right there.
Can 2022 Matt please get in a time machine and go back to 2014 Kent and smack that motherfucker?
Yeah.
Because, yeah, dude, I hear exactly what you're talking about. And, yeah, so I want to carry my choice is a Glock 34 with a dot and a light.
It's right there. Yeah.
I appendix carry one of those, and I can conceal it.
Yes.
Big dude. I can get away with it.
Yeah.
And if I'm wearing jeans and a T-shirt that's got my Green Mountain Defense Company logo on it, or one of my friends, any number of, hey, I'm a gun dude T-shirts, and then I go to the gun range to go be a gun dude, and then I might, stop for like some social stuff after, but otherwise I'm probably coming home. What the fuck does it matter? Who cares what I could have anything on me, right? And, a guy like TJ who literally lives in his basement, right? He doesn't have to go to the office very often. He doesn't have to go see anybody. He doesn't
need to get off his chair ever.
Oh, literally ever. No,
yeah, literally about 12 hours a day in this chair. This exact spot right here. This is me in my natural habitat.
Has the built-in toilet.
Hold on.
Was it in South Park, the bucket?
Ma'am, I need some hot packets. I guess what I really want to, I just want to know who's a good boy. What I really want to know is what was the spurring on point? Like, at what point did that aha moment hit you, and you decided, hey, we're gonna talk about lesser brands. We're gonna talk about suboptimal choices. We're gonna talk, because here's what I've heard. A couple people, and I don't mean like so and so told me this. A couple people said, "Oh, well, this is typical. As a podcaster or a media presence gets influenced by advertisers, and of course that's where it goes, right?" And I don't believe that's the case in your world. I damn sure know it ain't the case in my world. What is the change?
Much to our chagrin.
Yeah, really, no shit. What is the precipitous of like what got you to go, oh shit, look at this? Like
it was realizing people are being misled. People are getting caught up in almost a fantasy. And I am seeing a similarity with some of the mindset. There's a similarity with that mindset and working with people with substance abuse. Okay, here it is. So I worked in corrections for a couple of years. I worked with the state in a halfway house and dealt with people with substance abuse issues. The number one way to get this change is you need to want the change. Okay, so the question is, do you want to carry something that is effective, that will impact your life as least as possible, but still be effective? Is that a yes or no? If it's no, do you want to stay carrying that full size 2011 or Glock or whatever? Okay, go do that. But if you want to actually live your life, do you want to make that change? Are you willing to change your immediate circle? Because if all you're doing is in absorbing all this information, saying you got to carry 30 rounders appendix at all times, it's going to be difficult to. So basically, you need to open up yourself to different sources of information to consider. Ultimately, there's ownership and accountability with this. We need to own our answers, and I own absolutely. Yeah, I was one of those people that said, you know what, Roland Special. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I found the Roland Special was too small. I went CZP-09 with dot and light appendix. That is a boat anchor. It's not heavy. It's just huge. Awesome shooting gun. But I found that was inhibiting my ability to interact with my family. And people might hear that and go, bullshit, I can carry that comfortably. Yeah, I can carry it comfortably.
Now bend over and tie your shoes.
Yeah. And that still is viable. And you still can do that. But ultimately, you need to want to have this change. And so if you're not interested in actually considering any of this stuff, ignore it. It's not for you. It's okay. Because it isn't for everyone.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate. In what way does the bigger gun inhibit your interaction with your family? What do you mean by that specifically?
Okay. So going to certain places. I didn't want to go to Disneyland because I would have to be disarmed. There's a point where I just have to acknowledge, there are going to be times where I might not be able to have a firearm. I might have to go to a wedding or go to something, and I'm going to have to carry something smaller because I have to have something concealed because socially it's not acceptable. And through all this, I'm going to do a whole assessment. If I can put on a coat, okay, cool. I can carry something larger. I can have it strong side. I just recently went to an event where I carried the 365 XL with dot appendix with the Enigma, everything tucked, everything was fine, no problem. But it's all just this whole nuance and trying to figure out. Again, I'm at an advantage. I'm a large mammal. I can get away with things that other people cannot. And carrying that Glock 34 with weapon light, with dot and extended mags, that might not be conducive to rolling around on the ground with your 2-year-old, or going to the park, or going to the amusement park, or going on a water slide or anything like that. And I'm not saying maybe I am carrying a gun at the water slide, but there's so much nuance. And unless it's something that you're willing to consider and really weigh, it's okay. Keep on the journey that you're going. I'm afraid, though, that you might be missing out on some important things in your life because you're prioritizing the gun over your actual life.
I would even argue on that respect. If you haven't come to the realization or given enough consideration and thought to realize, hey, instead of just a gun, what am I carrying to save someone's life today? I.e. medical.
I'm more likely to. Yep.
Then if you haven't come to me and said, hey, bud, help me figure out what kind of gun I want to carry with this, and then say, I've also got this medical, right? Or, hey, what are you carrying for medical? If you can't carry a gun, you might as well save something, right? I hadn't thought about that. You have literally completely invalidated any and all authority you might come at me with in that discussion.
Well, and it's a harsh truth, and it's not. people don't like it, but of these two items, I have a tourniquet and I have a revolver. It could be any gun. What am I more likely to use?
Yeah,
The tourniquet.
Probably the tourniquet.
Hold on, wait. No, this is perfect because you do this for a living. How many
Crashes?
How many crimes involving the use of a firearm do you have to roll up on a given month?
I go to so many more medicals than.
That's exactly where I was going with this.
Yeah.
Right?
Medicals, crashes, traumas.
Right.
And I'm not shooting anyone.
And it's your job to carry a gun every day. You
My job
are
to respond.
duty bound to carry that
I
gun.
am seeking this stuff out.
Yeah. You have a hotline to all the shitheads in your area, right? Yet you still end up relying on medical. It's almost like I'm prepping for my outro already, but I'll stop.
But honestly though, if you choose to carry something larger, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not what I choose to do. And I'm concerned about quality of life now. Getting up there in years, having kids, priorities tend to change. I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's that whole mission thing.
That's fine. We'll pick up the mantle. Sling'N Podcast is now we're going to be the elite. That's it.
And I never ever thought of that I never thought of us as elitists and all that kind of. I just thought, okay, well, we're looking at the good stuff here. That's cool. But
not elite.
And I think other groups have kind of taken that over, and they can have it. And we'll still talk about cream of the crop, awesome stuff. It's fun. It's easy. But to talk about that nuance, that takes some understanding.
I do have one final question from my perspective as we kind of start reaching the end of this. I've been sitting here for the last 2 hours, Matt, looking at the wall of goodness, which I legit thought was a green screen. But of what's on your wall, what is your absolute favorite?
I knew you were going to ask that.
I have to. I am obligated.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can only keep one.
No.
Right? No, nothing like that. Not even about carrying. But what is your absolute favorite gun in your collection?
Okay, so I think I'm going to go with the Chambers Night Fighter 2011, right there. That being said, though, the Phantom is so cool, and it's discontinued, and it's such a good shooter. And so many good. The Langdon LTT. So many cool guns. The Walthers. They're matter of fact, a buddy coworker went to a class and asked to borrow my compact, which I still haven't gotten back yet. And man, those guns are so easy to loan out because they have everything people want. So yeah, I think I'd go with the Chambers.
Awesome. Okay, so now for the surprise questions or the little wrap up thing that we always do on here. Let's talk about some reading material. Pick a book. What you got?
Does it have to be gun?
No, hell no.
Isaac Asimov. Probably start with Foundation.
Isaac Asimov. TJ, I hope the fuck you can spell that.
Mm-hmm.
Foundation series is my absolute favorite. And the cool thing about Asimov's stuff is a lot of it is intermingled. A lot of the books are all in the same universe. So if you're familiar with the iRobot story, the book iRobot is connected to the Foundation series. And I want to say there are 6 or 9 books of the Foundation series.
So Harry Potter, but for robots?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Less magic, more technology.
Okay.
And not really many kids. So,
I mean, technology could be considered magic, especially
absolutely
from the perspective of. Okay, all right. I have trouble if something that I have to tell on myself. I have trouble with the suspended reality thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for me. My wife reads all the freaking werewolf and zombie and goddamn the whole thing, and I'm over here but am I learning anything?
Yeah.
And she's like, turn off the work brain. And
you got to unplug sometimes. And that's why I play video games. That's why I'm a PC gamer, to do that unplug. And also test some.
You're playing. I would say you're playing Ready or Not, motherfucker. Don't lie to me.
I haven't really played it that much. I've been playing Battlefield 2143, whatever the most recent Battlefield.
I'm a console gamer. I'm just really sad it's Ready or Not's not out for Xbox yet.
Oh, gotcha.
Cries and disappointed ginger.
And DayZ. I've been playing a lot of DayZ for some reason.
Ooh, yeah.
I blame Jailborn.
Yep.
Very cool. So, book recommendation, super geeky robot stuff. TJ's got that in the beep boop over there, so that's helpful. Thank you, Mr. TJ. You'd be like, dudes have thrown out some wild reading recommendations. There's some really deep stuff, some really like professorial stuff. Somebody said Clifford. Like, and then the whole message was like, no, my point was you should be reading with your kids, and I'm like,
that's a good message,
right? Like that's good. I just wanted me to read about the Break Brown Dog. Yeah. It's good stuff. Now, pick a charity, sir.
Okay, let's see here. Firearms Policy Coalition.
Yeah, that one's pretty common.
It was going to be SOCF, but right now with what's going on, Firearms Policy Coalition.
Cool. So Mr. TJ has a beep boop thing over there where he's got a link to a t-shirt about tonight's episode that you can buy from us. And the proceeds of that t-shirt will go to Firearms Policy Coalition. So that's how we do it. We do the t-shirts. We don't take the money. We give it to those people, et cetera, et cetera. So I haven't even gone and looked at this one. What's this one called, TJ?
Oh, it is absolutely in perfect primary and secondary fashion. I think you all will be quite pleasantly surprised with the gem that I have put together for this evening. I invite you all to head over on to Teespring and check out the link. I've posted it in the chat here. So I want to see a blind reaction. I want to see.
Yeah, I'm buffering. What the fuck, bro? I heart the Sling'N podcast. You're a goofball. Okay.
I do what I can.
Your own design?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can't. I try to do one a little goofy for or inspired by each one of our guests. So I figured what better way to show that we're the superior podcast by you coming on here and proving your dedication and love for all things Kent and TJ.
It's true.
And I look forward to seeing you
I'm
wear
sorry
that on
about
one
him.
of your
I
future
don't know where I
episodes.
found him.
Timmy!
Bro, all weekend this weekend, I'm going to be just, fuck I Timmy. Oh, yes. I love it.
Handy capable.
Yeah, handy capable for sure. Matt, listen, man. Thank you so much for being so.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
You are the GOAT. We bow to your Joe Rogan podcastness. This is fantastic.
We have an affliction for elitism. So
we like it. We love it.
I'm trying to avoid it.
All praise our Lord and Savior, Matt Landfair.
No.
Yeah, we want it. We're gonna turn you into a demigod, whether you like it or not.
We'll sacrifice a B8 to the gods of primary and secondary this weekend.
There you go.
There. We might just do just that. Mm-hmm. Listen, guys, go if you have not. Somehow, if you're listening to gun podcasts and you know us but don't know Matt, fix that shit tonight. Check out primary and secondary. They own Facebook. You think it's Zuckerberg. Them motherfuckers, they've got like 9 bajillion Facebook pages and groups and beep boops on there.
Links are going to be available in the description, and they will be. I've also linked it in the T-shirt for tonight. So
I was attempting simply to make a Facebook post tonight that said, "Hey, primary and secondary zone, Matt Landfair will be on the show." Blah 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 blah, and it tagged itself and posted itself. I'm on there like I typed the word primary, and it's like primary and secondary knives, primary and secondary cooking, primary and secondary cooking with knives, primary and secondary cooking without knives. I'm like, how many of these freaking?
All of them.
Oh my goodness, there's so much on there.
Back to planet.
There's a catalog available to you of we're on episode 116. These dudes are on episode 308. I'm tearing what's left of my hair out. I can't imagine what 308 feels like. Holy hell.
It's a lot stronger than 5.56.
Jeez.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah, that was good. So the info is there. If you want to
and free.
Dive, what's that?
And free.
That's something I was going to bring up next, actually. If you want a deep dive on like where the gun industry has been history-wise for the last 6 years, Matt?
December 2014 is when we started.
Okay, 8 years. Where the gun industry has been, who the movers and shakers in the industry are, what the reputable training companies are, AARs for different training, different stuff, nerd out level gear understanding, not from the perspective of what to buy, but like sustainment on the platform and how to work on it, and all kinds of quality info, hours and hours and hours of free information. Check out P&S. Do the Discord thing, do the network support level or whatever that thing is. I'm bad about the Patreons. I don't have time for them all, so I don't do as many as I wish I would have. Yeah. But seriously, from somebody who's been attempting to put out quality info like we have, and like I have in the YouTubes previously and stuff, to somebody who has done such a phenomenal job of it, my hat's off to you, dude. You have created a phenomenal piece of information over there. So
I kind of consider us as a think tank.
Yeah.
People try to, how do you categorize think tank? I think we have what?
DARPA.
And I wouldn't go that far. All right, we're not a government thing.
Chuck Pressburg.
Well, he's not anymore.
Well, he is. He's now the mayor, CEO, president.
Say, really?
He's in charge of Pressburg Ridge and all the.
True.
Right. So
all that's playing through my head is that scene from Family Guy, Pretoria.
Oh yeah, that's a good reference.
Yeah, Matt, our entire sense of humor is based around Family Guy references.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
So anyway, quality information over there in P&S.
Thank you,
Matt. Do you have any specific you want to plug? Anything you want to direct guys to and gals to? Please do that.
My favorite thing to say, if I can remember, I say it at the beginning of my episodes. I definitely say at the end. Make sure you are supporting those sources that you have found to be beneficial. There is an algorithm that doesn't work in the favor of the good sources of information. Now, that being said, there are a lot of very entertaining channels, and there's nothing wrong with liking and enjoying entertaining channels. But at the same time, there are some channels, like primary and secondary, algorithm doesn't necessarily work for us. As a matter of fact, we discussed it, how you might post something and there might not be as many viewers as there could be for some reason because of the stupid algorithm. So the way we defeat that is we like, we share, we subscribe. So if there's a source of information that you're watching randomly on YouTube or on Facebook or whatever, if you like what they're doing, if they're doing something that might help you, make sure you give it a like. If it's something that's positively impacted your life, give a subscribe. And lastly, if they're providing some source of information that can help others, make sure you share it.
Yeah, absolutely. So consider this your open invite, sir. You're welcome back here anytime you want to.
Awesome.
To do the whole deal. We really, really appreciate your being so given with your time and all that.
No problem.
Let's see. I guess we gotta do freaking ad reads or whatever stupid shenanigans. greenmountaindefense.com/training. Let's fucking do this. Stop talking. Just come. I don't want to hear about it. Just get on the range. Let's go. We got some open slots still in some of the stuff before the end of the year. We got the hosting calendar kicked off for 2023. We got your Tim Herons and your Scott Jedlinskis and your Apache Solutions and all the good stuff that you want for your hosting. So if you don't want to hear from me, but you want to hear from somebody else, that's fine. If you want quality regional training in this area, come to me. If you don't want to come to me, find Phil Groff at Figure Training. If you don't like him, go see Sam DeSimone. If you don't like him, go find Ashton Ray. And if you're done with all that, I'll continue giving you quality information until I'm sick of hearing your excuses and I'm just convinced that you don't actually want to do it. Okay? Somebody in our local area can help you, I promise. So get on the range, get the work done. Start by just taking that little step and saying, you know what, this is going to be the weekend, this is going to be the week, the day, whatever. Let's go do it. If you are in the law enforcement community and you think a civilian firearms trainer cannot help you, I call bullshit. Let us help you. Okay? All we're talking about is how to use a tool after all. So just get out and let's go. Hit the affiliate link, screammountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. You're going to buy gun shit anyway. You might as well buy from us or through us, I should say, right? So go support those sources and go get the quality info. And if you're not going to do any of that, at least get some medical knowledge, please, God, because that will be more useful. Kerry Davis at Dark Angel Medical provides awesome medical training and kits. So for a national level resource, do that. For local stuff, hashtag not a doctor, so hashtag went and found one. So we teach med stuff over here, not run by me, run by Doc, because screw that. You can't be all things to all people, right? But at the end of the day, pick up the kit, get out there, get a Stop the Bleed class. Please, God, do something, because it ain't going to be the apocalyptic rifle fight. It will be the weed whacker or the chainsaw, I promise you. Don't
Plate glass window.
Ooh, yeah? You got a story?
No. Yes, but no.
Okay. Yes, but later. After hours. And TJ, you want to tell them to do the thing?
Absolutely. Folks, thank you all for spending some time on your Wednesday evening with us. Matt, thank you for giving us some of your time. It is absolutely the most valuable time
My pleasure.
one of us has. And we are always grateful for those of you that decide to come on our podcast and spend some time educating our viewers and hanging out with us and making friends. Folks, we cannot stress enough the importance of getting that medical kit squared away. Right, I had the post up here just a little bit ago, but just to put it back on the screen for everyone to see, this is Cam Hayes. He is one of our best friends. He's not just one of our resident long-range experts, but he is a brother and a friend and a loved one to both Kit and myself. In his own words, people with tourniquets saved his and his girlfriend's lives. Right. And speaking of Cam, of course, we have the link permanently emblazoned as well as an image of the shirt here on our overlay for the show. Cam's Ass Kicking Contest Invitational. All proceeds, every dime from every shirt that we sell from this campaign, from now until the time that Teespring stops selling stuff and operating, then I'll find somebody else, is going to go to Cam to help him and his girlfriend recover and get back to whatever sense of normalcy that they can find with their lives. Right. So please, go donate. GoFundMe is still up and operational, but if you want to contribute and show some love for Cam, go buy a T-shirt and show him some love. Kent already mentioned Dark Angel Medical. I won't revisit that other than the fact to tell you that code BB15 Bravo 15 will get you 15% off at checkout. We get nothing back from that, but just throw it in your order notes that we sent you and let Kerry know we're showing him some love. And of course, as always, go out and check out primaryandsecondary.com. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the places, they are there. Kent proved it trying to tag them. And we look forward to our future relationships and talks and communications and sharing of all the knowledge and the things along with our brothers and sisters over there at P&S. So, Matt, thanks again for being on the show. And as always, God bless you all. Take care of each other. Get out and shoot.
Bye. Miss you.